පැහැදිලිවම වගකීමක් තියෙනවා. මේ අරගලයට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නායකත්වයේ දුන්න යම් කිසි පිරිසක් එකතු වෙලා යම් කමිටුවක් නිර්මාණය කරලා මේ අවසාන ට්‍රීටි එක ගිවිසුම සම්මුතිය හදන්න. ඒක අරගලකරුවන්ගේ පාර්ශවය වගේම රටේ 113 අරගෙන ජනාධිපති බවට පත් කළ රටේ ආර්ථික අර්බුදය විසඳිය හැකියයි විශ්වාස කරන කෙනෙක් අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්නත් ඕනේ. එතකොට 113 පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අරගෙන රාජ්‍ය නායකයා බවට පත් වෙනකොට අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අරගලකරුවෝ ගෝල් ෆේස් ඩෙක්ලරේෂන් එක ලෑස්ති කරගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඒ පත් වෙන රාජ්‍ය නායකයාත් ගෝල් ෆේස් එකේ අරගලකරුවනුත් එකතු වෙලා සාමූහිකව සාකච්ඡා කරලා යම් නෙගෝසියේෂන් එකකට ඇවිල්ලා අරගලේ ඩෙක්ලරේෂන් එක අත්සන් කරන්න පුළුවන්, ට්‍රීටි එක අත්සන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක අත්සන් කරාට පස්සේ අර අලුත් රාජ්‍ය නායකයා පොරොන්දු වෙනවා ජනතාවට අරගලකරුවන්ට ඔබලා අරගලය තුලින් දිනා ගන්න අවශ්‍ය රට නිර්මාණය කරන කොන්දේසි ටික තමයි මේකේ තියෙන්නේ කියලා.
British MP calls for international arrest warrant against Gotabaya Rajapaksa. New Delhi. Sir Ed Davey, the chief of the Liberal Democrats, has demanded that a global arrest warrant be issued in opposition to Sri Lanka President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his cronies. This horrible state of affairs in Sri Lanka has been caused by the corruption of the Rajapaksa authorities' tax cuts, skyrocketing defense expenditure and draconian police powers, he was quoted by the media. Talking within the Home of Commons, Davey instructed that the UK works with worldwide companies for a full financial and political resolution to assist the Democrats to Sri Lanka, which incorporates issuing an arrest warrant. New president, MPs now represent the entire electorate of Sri Lanka, says BASL. Colombo News First. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka states that in electing new president, the members of the parliament now represent the entire electorate of Sri Lanka and must perform this onerous duty by respecting the sovereignty of the people and their wishes and uphold democratic values. The need of the hour is to make decisions based on the country's best interests and not the personal or political interest of any individual or political party. It added that members of the parliament must do everything in their power to prevent Sri Lanka from plunging into further chaos and restore social, political and economic stability. IMF wants stability in Sri Lanka to resume talks. Colombo News Fast. The International Monetary Fund says it is deeply concerned about the ongoing crisis and its impact on Sri Lankan people, particularly the poor and vulnerable groups in Sri Lanka. We hope for a resolution of the current situation that would allow for our resumption of a dialogue on an IMF-supported program, said Jerry Rice, the director of the communications department of the IMF. The high-level discussions with the authorities that we would need to begin discussions on a program. We hope again that these would be able to resume as soon as possible. So looking to do all we can get in just an extraordinarily difficult situation, he added. He noted that Sri Lankan's public debt is assessed as unsustainable, and as is the case with every IMF program, not just the case of Sri Lanka, for approval by the board. And we are not at this stage, but for approval by the board, a program which require adequate assurances on debt sustainability, so that what I have on this a situation of great concern in Sri Lanka, said Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A state of emergency has been declared in Sri Lanka by Prime Minister Ramal Wickremesinghe after President Rajapaksa fled the country last night. This follows weeks of protests on the island, with inflation running at more than 50%, rocketing the price of everyday goods. The health system is on the verge of collapse due to lack of medicine. There is no fuel for essential transport services and medical vehicles. There have been power cuts, school closures, and we woke this morning to protesters overtaking the Prime Minister's office, tear gas fired by police, a curfew imposed on the capital, and the national TV broadcast suspended. This is a crisis in democracy, decades in the making. The world turned away when the Rajapaksa government cluster-bombed its own people committing genocide, murdered its journalists and enriched a small group led by one family. Their malign dynastic control has stripped the country bare, leaving behind a broken nation on the brink of economic collapse. Sri Lanka is unable to buy essential goods from abroad and for the first time in its history failed to make a payment on its foreign debt, a consequence of swinging populist tax cuts at the time of economic instability. Tory leadership candidates, beware. An IMF bailout is essential. But does the Minister agree with me that any financial assistance must go hand in hand with democratic and human rights reforms, particularly for the Tamil community who continue to fight for truth, justice and accountability as a result of the human rights abuses perpetrated at the end of the civil war by the outgoing Rajapaksa regime?
I hope this video presentation helped you to understand the present and the future political scenario in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's parliament is to elect a new president on the 20th of July. A recent all-party government also will be discussed on this day. Some believe our Independence Day should be moved from February 4th to 20th of July. Stay safe and goodbye for now.